Good evening, everyone. Having a quorum, we are ready to call the meeting of the Capital Outlay Committee to order. Today is Monday, September the 15th, 2025. We are meeting at Norwood Town Hall, 566 Washington Street, and we also, the meeting is being recorded by Norwood Community Media for future broadcasts. This evening's agenda is approval of our August 26th meeting minutes. We have scheduled the committee to have a vote on the FY26 capital projects plan. We've gone through quite a bit of vetting over the last couple of months on this plan, and I think based on our meeting from August 26th, the committee felt that it was a good time now for us to proceed to a formal vote in order to put forward the warrant article necessary for the Board of Selectmen vote coming up shortly. We also determined, item C, that we would take a vote on the FY26 to 30 capital improvement plan report. That is the report that includes not only the FY26 plans, but also those plans that are on the placeholder report for future capital improvement. The most important thing tonight is going to be our second agenda item, which is to vote on the FY26 capital plan, as that's what we're presenting at the November town meeting. We also have included in our packet town meeting presentation for discussion, and that's something that this is the first iteration of, but it's good that we have it before us just for discussion and presentation and any input the committee may have that they feel the town meeting might benefit from. We'll have an opportunity to do that. Finally, we'll discuss a schedule and agenda for future meetings, which may or may not happen. Usually at this point, by the time we take a vote, that is what goes forward to the boards for consideration for town meeting. However, it is possible that if there are changes in from the boards that do review the plan, we may have opportunity to reconvene to just get an update on such, but that normally does not happen, but it could. So with that, I'm going to open up with agenda item number 1, the approval of August 26, 2025 meeting minutes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
By Ernie. We are going to do a roll call vote individually, as we are hybrid this evening. On the motion to approve the minutes from August 26th, Ernie?
Yes.
Dave Hills?
Although I was not here, I
abstain?
abstain.
Ann Haley?
Yes.
Mark Cooley?
Yes.
David Tuttle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And chair votes yes as well. That's 6 yes, 1 abstention. Very well. Next item is the vote on the FY26 capital projects plan. I did meet with Tony earlier today, and I suggested that it would be beneficial for the committee to have any insights from Tony regarding the plan. We have vetted this pretty thoroughly. We've met with our department directors. They did a great job providing information. We had our on-site meetings at the library, and as well as the Touch a Truck event out here. But I also want to just, since this is primarily the general manager's plan, to have an opportunity for Tony to chime in with any additional insights that you may have, Tony. You're welcome to do it. Provide an overview if you wish. But
sure, I'll skip my 45-minute presentation that I prepared. We've been sort of following the same capital process for the last several years now, and I think you're seeing the result in what for this year is a pretty vanilla capital plan. I think it's cognizant of the investments we've been making, and we continue to focus on this conservative path of let's focus on fixing what we have and repairing and maintaining what we have, and very few expansions of plant. And I think every year we always talk about that. The only item that you could even consider would be an expansion would be looking at the fire turnout gear design in a future year if we have to do a small addition to the building. But even then, it's preserving gear and it's a safety-related item. So 5 years now, there's been virtually no expansion of plant, that we're continuing on that trend, which is good. It's letting us take care of what we need to take care of. Not always the sexiest or the most exciting plan to look at, but it's where we are financially, and it's making sure that we're focused on getting the work done that we need to get done.
Good. And I would just add, for Tony's benefit, that, in my opinion, the committee can chime in as well. I felt we had a very good review with our department directors. I thought each of them presented their case for their projects very well. They answered all of our questions, and on behalf of the committee, I'm certainly like to thank all the directors for their insights and input.
I will pass it along. We are in some ways, to harken back to Bob Thornton's nothing more, nothing less, trying to take that approach with the capital budget every year. Department heads have really, I think, embraced that, and they're not afraid to put forward what they think they need, but we're not going shopping either, which is important.
Very good. Any other discussion or questions for Tony? David?
Well, I have a question on the plan in general, whether it's Tony or somebody else, but the two items, the fire truck and the school roofs, I support both of them. They're $3 million, they're borrowing. And my question is just, if that gets approved and the projects come in less, they only borrow what the cost is, right?
Correct. So I'll take a minute and just explain in general how we borrow. Until we have a purchase order, we won't actually go into borrow. Sometimes we'll just use available cash and not borrow until the last minute. And then we also sometimes borrow in chunks, so we won't borrow the entire amount up front. We're trying to minimize how much we have for issued and unauthorized debt.
And if let's say in the case of the fire truck, it came in at 3.2 million, does the whole process have to start over, or
No,
how
I'd
does that
likely
work?
come back to town meeting for a supplemental appropriation, whether it would be cash or increase the borrowing authorization. We always, and we may have a unique way of paying for the fire truck this time, but we always seek the full authorization because that's what allows us to issue bids and issue a purchase order, and then the actual borrowing is well down the road. So we can start a project if we need to come back to town meeting. It depends on what that delta of how off we might be. $3 million project that we know we need to do, if we need $200,000, we'll go back to town meeting. Reasonably certain we can get that. A $3 million project that comes back at $8 million, that's a whole discussion that's gonna start again that something's gone wrong.
Okay. And at the last meeting, I know we took the fire truck from 2.5 up to 3 million. Is that still a valid number?
It is. About 6 years ago, we moved towards all of our vehicle purchases, making sure that they are all inclusive of the total cost. Those of you who have been town meeting members will remember days when we would try to get the lowest cost for a vehicle and then we'd be scrambling for $10,000 or $20,000. The truck is a long process to build. The equipment on the ladder is incredibly expensive. I mean, you're looking at $2,500 a tire. So even to keep 2 tires spare, that's $5,000. We move equipment when we can, but if we need a new set of jaws, that could be $50,000. So we're just making sure that there's enough in the appropriation to buy the truck, to fully equip the truck, and to make sure it has everything it needs, so we're not either, I mean, the maintenance budget, the fire department couldn't absorb 10 or 20 grand in things that we missed in a given year. So we're just making sure we're moving forward with the full cost with some wiggle room and everything the truck will need, so we won't be at town meeting a year after saying, you know, we didn't actually buy the control system for the ladder because we could buy it after the fact. Can you give us $100,000 for that?
Okay.
And you'll see that with police cruisers too. We probably pay a base price of sometimes around 50 grand and there's 10 or 20 grand in equipment. We go for the full price to make sure we can fully equip it so we're not sort of bait and switch and just getting a cheap product over here and struggling to properly equip it.
Okay. Thank you.
Those are good questions. We actually, I think we have a recent example where a project did come in over what we projected. That was the water tanks. And we did go back and reauthorize for additional borrowing at, I think, a special from May, if I remember right. All right. Ernie?
Bob, just, I was online last time, so it's hard to pick up all the nuances. On the library, $2 million library project, so we're going ahead with this, right?
So-
The things are, the study's been done, so now we're actually gonna do it.
Yeah, let me talk about the library for a minute.
Okay.
I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication at one point about whether we were doing a full renovation of the library. And that wasn't on the table, that was not on the table. It really hasn't been. The building's not in bad shape compared to most of our other buildings. It went through a major renovation in the 90s. The chiller plant is less than 10 years old in that facility. We had wanted to do some interior work because it was time for an interior refresh. We knew that we had some water infiltration, so we decided to pause, knowing that this is likely to be a building we're going to operate for the next 50 or 60 years. Do the full study of the building and see what's needed. This is phase 1 of some of that repair work, really sealing up the outside. The next phase would be to do any of the MEP work that's needed, but we're not looking at a full boiler replacement, at least not at this time. The chiller doesn't need to be done. There's going to be some work that needs to be done around that, and we're going to have to really spend some time in that sort of phase 2 investigating some of those leaks. Some of them are coming just from condensation from the air handling system. It may not be worth spending $800,000 sealing up all those, all that ductwork to stay 2 or 3 leaks in a certain place. But that phase 2 will be what needs to be done for MEP. Is there anything else on the inside of the building that needs to get done? So that we could look at a phase 3 down the road of, okay, we probably need to do carpets and painting and maybe some furniture and fixtures. So it's a, call it a midlife refresh. I wouldn't necessarily call it a renovation because the building just doesn't need that.
So the 2 million,
That's
It-
mostly the exterior work.
that'll seal up, so a town meeting, you know,
Yeah.
a year, 2 years from now, we say, well, we got more libraries. Hey, we just spent 2 million.
This is
So
the outside.
This is the outside,
The next phase
to
will be
keep
the
it
inside.
watertight. This
Yeah.
is to keep it water, okay.
I mean, we did the extensive water testing where they go and they pamper up the building and they spray it with water to see what was going in. It's a building we're gonna run in perpetuity that's not ready for a major renovation, so we're just making sure we're doing it right, rather than ignoring it and getting to a point where it is a $20 million or $30 million renovation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
another question on the HVAC study for the schools, the elementary schools. It's $250,000. I think that's a lot of money. My question is though, at the end of that study, is the expectation we're just gonna get one plan back that says, you know, here's a project, it's all encompassing, or will we get one for each school so we could tackle them separately?
Each school's gonna need to be looked at a little bit differently. A perfect world would be, let's install HVAC and chillers at all the elementary schools. Well, by the time we do that, we'd be $80 million down the hole. It may be as simple as that it's time. Some schools have air conditioning in the windows. It might be that we need to make some electrical upgrades and we can install typical commercial, little units you can move around, and it just might be that we have to buy 400 of them. But every building is a little different. Every building's electric capacity is different. Every building's heating system is a little bit different. So it's probably going to be if not a piecemeal approach, it'll be a tailored approach without going too crazy. They're not going to design 6 different or 5 different systems.
And I would also say, and this is me as a individual, not the views of the school committee or anyone else in the schools, but we just have to be careful because when we go in and we start sinking money into some of those schools, and I know, Tony, you're probably familiar with this, but when we start going back, or the time that we do go back into the MSBA, part of the process is that you merge schools. So we're not going to spend over $1 billion to replace 6 elementary schools. And you also lose points when you do some of these things. So the example I always use is like the district I work in did a windows and doors program through the MSBA with one of their buildings, and it actually ultimately delayed them another 3 years in getting in. And I would, my question about that study is, that one's good too, but I saw there were some others. I would advocate that we do feasibility for those 6 as a part of some other master plan for the town.
Yeah, and I think that's with the HVAC, that's really what it is. I think, given the age of elementary schools, we would be cautious before investing significant dollars. And you take the Callahan, which is a small building, that's a very old building. Would we spend $1 million on an air conditioning system for that building? I don't know that would necessarily be in the cards. What I've done in the past with older elementary school buildings, sometimes you can make some electrical upgrades and use window units in all of the classrooms, but do it at once, do what you need to do before we undertake the Dave's Point project. We're going to spend millions of dollars on a building that is likely to be here, but then how do you pick one versus all 5 to say, well, we're going to put a whole new air conditioning system in one elementary school when we've got, 6 if you count the Willet.
Okay.
Any other questions? I didn't bring my notes from last meeting. I
And
believe
we'll talk about water lining.
Again,
Yes. I didn't bring my notes from the last meeting, but I believe we have the 3 big borrowing projects in the general fund. Between the schools and the general fund, from a cash perspective, I think we're recommending about $3 million worth of free cash for these projects. And I believe that's the number, and I'm just a review of free cash. I think we're currently sitting at a balance of about $10 million with recertification coming in November. Don't anticipate that our free cash situation is going to be detrimental to funding suggested programs.
No, I don't think so.
Any other questions? All right, if there are no other questions, our task number 1 here this evening is to offer a formal approval to this plan so that we can bring it forward to the Finance Commission for recommendation at town meeting and to the Board of Selectmen for the placement on the warrant for the November town meeting. And I have a motion.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Did you want it open for discussion?
Yes, I wanted to.
On the motion.
On the motion. I wanted to make sure that we've got, all right, we have piles of different things. So is it the things that are in here? Is this the exact thing that we are voting on today? This?
These are the projects that we are, and the funding sources that we are recommending to the Board of Selectmen and to the Finance Commission.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
Right, okay. No, just wanted to make sure, because we've
Seconded,
got a lot of
the-
different things that
Right.
have been passed through us, and I just wanted to
Well,
make sure.
This is it.
This is
it.
the
What you
last
see,
version.
what we have on the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
And what's
okay.
presented there. Subsequently, after this vote, we'll have a discussion on the out-year plans,
Okay.
which is basically for our edification and understanding of what the needs are upcoming for future years. We're not really going to be getting into too much discussion regarding funding sources and so forth for those, but secondary vote is for us to vote on the primary, the full plan. But tonight, it is on the plans that you have before you that we've seen at our meetings,
Yeah.
that we've
Okay.
vetted with department
Just
heads.
wanted to make sure that there was,
Sure.
it's what we
Yes, This is what
looked
we-
at,
this is what-
nothing's been dropped off of it.
right. No. You vote on this, if we vote in the affirmative for this, this is what I will bring back to the, Tony, and I will bring back to the Board of Selectmen next week. When do we vote on the warrant articles?
Probably your first October meeting.
Okay, so, but so formally, the vote for the warrant will take place in October, but this will be presented to the Board of Selectmen next week, and then ultimately for the warrant.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, it's been motioned and seconded. I'll take a roll call vote for approval of the plan. On the motion, Ernie,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Oh,
Ann,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dave Tuttle,
yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and yes from the chair as well. Kevin?
Aye.
Kevin?
Yes.
I gotta add Kevin to my little list here, jeez. Kevin votes, that is a 8-0 vote. All right. Great. We'll move on to the next. Thank you, members of the committee, for all your work on the vetting of the FY26 projects. The next item is the committee vote on the FY26 to 30 capital improvement plan report. Yes, Eric?
This one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, when at the appropriate time, I just have 3 suggestions to make on the out years of the overall plan. That be the appropriate time to make those suggestions before we vote?
Yeah, let's, I think maybe the way to do this with Tony here, maybe Tony can give us sort of the overview of what's on our upcoming plan in the, the various mechanisms that might change between now and then, between now and next year in terms of what goes on in the plan. So
Sure.
Tony, if I defer to you, then Eric will turn to you for your questions.
Sure. One of the things always important to remember about the out years of the plan, the committee historically has approved the out years of the plan. It's really just a acknowledgement that they're there. There's no guarantee we're going to do any of these projects, and of course, there's a chance that something could pop up on the list that all of a sudden takes a much higher priority. It's just our best guess at where we need to be and the programs that we need to focus on. The next couple of years, Meadowbrook, Town Hall, potentially work at the fire station for the gear will be some of the larger projects. I think the gear will be on the smaller order of magnitude at some point. Meadowbrook is a large project, and at some point, Town Hall is going to be out there. The stormwater work that we have to do is likely going to have to be paid for through a stormwater fee or some other type of mechanism. Otherwise, I don't know where we're going to be able to fit that into the budget. When Town Hall comes up, and Town Hall's hanging in there. It's older than some town halls, but it's not in bad shape as other ones as well. We know that's going to be a large project. That may need to be a debt exclusion. Of course, if we're looking at a couple of years out, we may have operational overrides between now and then. Even though a debt exclusion would be minimal, trying to absorb $2 or $3 million into the debt service line is simply not feasible. One option could be stacking that debt over time. using some cash to absorb that hit to the debt service budget over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to get it up there. It's unlikely that we're going to be able to just, boom, have the money in 1 year, and again, borrowing what we will anticipate being a significant number. You're probably looking at $2.5 million a year in debt service is not something that can occur in a typical year. So those are some of the larger projects that were coming up. In the outer years, you'll start to see some more public works projects cropping up. We had talked about, even though we've done our 5-year series of road bonds, that at some point some of the larger streets in town are going to need to be taken up as capital projects. Washington Street, for instance, gets done every roughly 10 years. So probably, if not, probably next year's plan, you might see Washington Street pop up on there, and a few of the larger streets, just to make sure that the money we do have between the budget and Chapter 90 is maintaining what we have and getting a couple of roads done every year. By way of example, with where we currently are in the budget, if we had to do the entire line-to-line Washington Street, it would probably occupy 2 to 3 years of our road money. So those projects are going to have to start popping up as capital projects. That being said, our 2.5 biggest projects are, again, no expansions of plant, just maintaining what we have, and they're costly, but we're not. The brand new rec center with an indoor swimming pool replacing the Savage Center isn't on the plan yet, so. With an outdoor spray park / skating rink, so.
Okay. That's from the government side. Sean or Tim, Dave, do you want to highlight anything on the 5-year plan that you want to reference in terms of the schools beyond, I know you have your network switches and whatever, but are there anything you want to highlight in terms of what's coming up?
I would just echo what David said. Obviously, we appreciate the HVAC studies that are in here quite a bit in the 5-year plan. Obviously, as we evaluate the schools in the next 3, 4, 5 years to see where we land, there could be different recommendations coming. However, mostly it's things like our parking lots, roofs, HVAC systems. So, and again, the buses that are part of the operating costs, 3 special ed buses, as we've been increasing in required routes for special ed students as time has gone on.
Thank you. Eric, why don't we turn to your questions now?
Sure. As I said, I had 3 suggestions I just want to throw out for the out years. The first one is the police tasers seems like the sort of item that now is becoming a recurring annual item. It's not a very large item, but it doesn't seem anymore like it's a capital item. And I'm suggesting that perhaps, like I said, in the out years, that we start putting that in the operating budget, kind of like cruisers.
Okay.
The second item had to do, there's an item in here for replacing the Father Max pool, and I'm suggesting that perhaps we should push that out a year. I would think we would want to get some more experience with a new Haas pool so we can apply lessons learned to a new project. And so it's scheduled starting in the next year, which seems a little quick. And I'm thinking we might want to rejigger the plan to push that out at least a year so that we have time to, develop lessons learned from the cause pool, as well as thinking about, do we need 2 pools? Can we staff it? Does it need to be in that location? That sort of needs that sort of planning process before we have an item in here for design. So that was my second suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. I'll continue and I'll come back to the pools.
Yeah. Okay. And the third one, we sort of alluded to it earlier. There was a study of the elementary schools back, I think it was 2017. And it seems like we should put in here somewhere sort of updating that study and perhaps expanding it to all the town's buildings, but just to help guide all of these sort of maintenance items to make sure that we are, doing the kind of work on the buildings that are appropriate for the use we want to have for the buildings, as well as making sure that we're not, we're packaging them properly. We don't want to be, as we said earlier, making improvements to the buildings in a way that is jeopardizing our ability to get grant funding or state funding, state financing, anything like that. So it seems like perhaps we need to have a sort of more comprehensive building evaluation study, like I said, building on that 2017 elementary school study to help guide everything that we're doing in the various buildings the town owns.
Thanks. I think those are great suggestions. particularly on the pools, I take your point, I think it's a good point. You know, we did have a pool feasibility study from a couple of years ago, which ultimately led to the prioritization of the Hawes Pool reconstruction. But in that feasibility structure, there was a report, there were various scenarios relative to whether or not at Father Max, we need to take a hard look at whether or not there's another usage for that aquatic center besides a $5 million project to replace the pool. So, you know, perhaps we can take some time to review that, you know, report from the pool feasibility and match it up to what we want to do or need to do in the future regarding capital planning for pools. Any other questions from committee members?
I have a comment more than a question. You know, looking at our totals over the years, it's all over the place. You know, we're at 60 million, then 24 million, then 22, then 35, then 20 million. You know, we're up and down. And I know the big swing there is the town hall replacement, but I'm just wondering, even if it's not a, you know, a hard target, we should have some sort of number that we say this is what we're shooting for each year to kind of even that out and keep, you know, for budgeting for town meeting to make it easier that, you know, every year it's 20 million, let's say, that we're asking for. And obviously at some point that would have to go up, but we don't have these, you know, wild swings in there. So that was one thought. And the second one was on the town hall repairs in the out years. We had the study the year before. I think that's what the 2 million is for, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 20 million. I just think that's a big amount of money to bite off all at once. And I'm wondering if part of the study could be come back with 4 or 5 separate projects that can stand alone. So if the roof is one or something in the infrastructure, you know, we'd fund that in 1 year. We fund, you know, 4 million a year or something, so it's not such a big hit all at once.
Sure. In 2016-17, we appropriated some money for design work to do some repair work to Town Hall. And they got into design, and what they found is the building is unfortunately like an onion. So the core problem with all the MEP is there's never been a full replacement from day one. So it's unlikely that you can replace one of those entire systems without replacing all 3 of those systems. That requires you to shut the building down for an extended period of time. It's possible something like the roof could be phased, but really if you're looking at starting with the MEP and then bringing things up to code, that's going to be the bulk of your cost and your time right there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just think we got to find a way to be creative and not. I don't think we can afford a $20 million hit all at once.
Yeah, it'll come down to we either renovate the building or we don't. It just may not be feasible to do it in pieces based on what needs to be done to the building.
Okay.
It's kind of like you have an old house and it's like, okay, I got to change the plumbing, I got to change the electrical. Can I do the electrical and leave the plumbing alone? You can try, then you're hacking up the building and then you're taking the plumbing and then you fix that. Then we've got 8 different HVAC systems in this building built over 30 years. Then we try to replace them. The building's solid, it's sound. It's just been systems patched on systems for 100 years.
I'm not against doing improvements and maintaining the building. I want to do that. I'm just.
When we do the design, we could certainly ask if there's a phased approach that they could take that would allow us to chunk it up more.
I would think that a design project would at least kind of divide the work up into chunks. This is what it would take to renovate the electrical HVAC. This is what it would take, you know, this is the project cost for completely renovating the plumbing system. So I imagine the design project can kind of give you some information, inform you in terms of what the specific mini projects are to do that. But
we still have asbestos in the building in a lot of places too. I mean, it's just it's an old building. I don't even know if the old gas lanterns are properly disconnected or if they just got capped 70 years ago. I mean,
I'm sure they just get capped.
You think so? I'm sure they're fine.
And then,
nobody has matches here, too. Right?
The building's
Mr. Chairman?
sorry, if I could, one more thing about this building. As an example, we have 4 or 5 vaults in the building. They're not necessary nowadays with digital file storage and fire prevention. one of the things they looked at is could they remove the structure around those vaults to make more usable space? And the answer is you can, if you're renovating the building. Do we go through, instead of a $20 million renovation, a $14 million renovation, I'm making the number up here, and still have the vaults, or is it time to say, let's do it once for every 100 years, and then we're set to go? The building is solid, shortly under this carpet and tile, concrete. I mean, the thing will last 1,000 years. It's just, that also means that we got to drill into it, and some segments of the building the windows are only 2002, but you'd think they were original. They're in terrible shape, so.
Yeah, I think my point was that maybe we should consider, even before the study, saying, we're gonna spread that out and hope that it comes back that way. I think the plan becomes more palatable that way to people.
You can definitely look into that.
It could, but, Mr. Chairman, but if any renovation kicks in and that magic number, whatever that magic number is, that defeats the grandfather clause. So then you basically have to bring all of the building up to code. And that's basically is the $20 million price tag as of right now. Could be more.
Yeah, one of the reasons we're asking for that full amount of money for design and engineering is to really be able to vet what needs to be done, what can be done, what's the plan, start getting some bid docs and start getting it out there. So I know we tend to put the amount for design the plan and then the project the next year. The likelihood is you're probably looking at 2 years before we're actually ready to really have an idea of what we can do and what can they break out. And to your point, maybe the roof doesn't need to get done and that saves $3 or $4 million. I'm a little worried about if Carillon Tower needs a lot of work, but maybe that's a separate project. I think it's more the MEP. Once that gets done, that piece probably needs to get done all at once. And what's that core cost of doing that?
Ernie?
Just I kind of agree with Dave on a lot of his points on nobody wants to see the building fall apart. We want to maintain it, do what we can. But I think that we have to take a real hard look at, is there going to be an appetite for a $20 million plus bill? I don't work in this building, so I don't know the ins and outs. I know some of the men's rooms are 1901.
It's the last thing we need to renovate.
They remind me of the troughs at Fenway Park in the old days. But
we just got
We're that old?
but I think that they got to take a hard look at, is there going to be an appetite to do a full renovation of this building? And again, I don't work here, so I don't know the ins and outs of what's wrong with it. But I kind of like Dave's point of is there going to be an appetite? There may be an appetite for a $4 million renovation to do electric. When you say MEP, we talk about mechanical engineering and okay.
Mechanical, electrical.
Yeah. Obviously electrical, they need to get into the walls. There's no getting around that. But I just wonder if there is going to be. You say the study is 1 year and maybe 2 years before we know what's going on. The price goes up after 2 years, and then it's, well, is there an appetite for it? So we push it off, farther, and then it comes down at some point. And just my opinion, it's going to come down where we've wasted our money on this design, and it's 8-9 years down the road before we, and at that point, this may be obsolete, this review.
But a design project helps to inform.
Yeah,
what the needs are to help answer the questions that you and Dave have. So you got to do the design before you to help inform.
I'm just worried if there's going to be an appetite down the road for that kind of thing.
And whether or not some of the design work actually is strong enough to provide an incentive for people to consider.
When did we just pointed the building, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Oh, I think it's been longer than that.
It's probably closer to 10 or 15.
When they cover the whole building and shrink wrap and everything?
Yeah. And that's sort of been the approach over the years, and the challenge is we're getting to the point where that MEP work needs to get done, and there's no easy way to peel that onion.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna take the other side of the fence here, and I'm gonna say, if we don't do it as one whole package, when every year we have to decide, you know, what we can't do because we don't have enough money. So if we get this as a package, and I don't know how to do it, whether you want to do it in an override or however you want to do it, my thought is to get the money and keep it for this only. And because if we're going out every 2 years to get some money to do your office, you know, it sounds good, but on the other hand, I happen to know what happens when, you know, we hit something and the economy has gone down and nobody has any money, and, you know, we can't raise taxes and all those things. But, you know, so if we get it all in one fell swoop, we got it. It's done.
I think also you need, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all. I mean, I just wanted to say that there is another side of this, and, you know, we'll have to give this a really good thinking.
That's, yeah, and that's why I think there's design. I don't think anybody ever thinks about this, but it's a reality. What do you do if this building totally fails?
Yeah.
Electrical, plumbing, HVAC. We're talking about a 100-year-old building. I'm in here enough to know it's got some major issues that we're spending lots of money on to correct. Systems that are, you know, there's one system I believe that there's a crawl space under the building that someone has to go there to correct some plumbing issues.
15, 20 times a year.
Just 20 times a year. So
Eventually, if they patch enough of the pipe, it'll be like a new pipe.
So the question I would have is, how much longer can this building last without a major investment in infrastructure? But that's why we do the design work. Let me just go to Ernie first.
Okay.
Just a question, Bob, just refresh my memory. The safety building, public safety building, are we on a override for that?
No,
No.
that was within the levy limit.
No,
That was,
Within the
that
levy
was
limit.
within the tax
Yeah.
levy.
Same thing with the.
It was
the
never
new
done
police and fire?
on an
Yeah.
override.
so we don't owe any money on that?
No.
Okay.
We might still be paying
We
the
still
note on it.
owe.
It's just not an
They
override.
borrow.
Not an override, but
No.
we're still paying
Yeah, I
that
think it's still
off.
got a couple years left.
And then we have 2 schools that we're paying off, so, you know, not going back, and Bob, I agree with everything you said, we gotta find out what's wrong before we can decide if we're gonna fix it or not. You know, you'd be possibly looking at 4 buildings that you're paying notes on, you know,
Yeah, all within the levy, which is tough. But to that point, I think the high school is 2033.
5 or something?
34,
34, 35, yeah.
You could look at trying to tie a override, debt exclusion up with when the high school falls off. If the numbers are roughly the same, and I'm not saying they are, so I don't want to say, hey, great, it'll be an even wash, but again, given the timing when we'd be doing it, look, it's 26, you're looking at a 27 study, it's 28, it's 29. Yeah, your cost might go up, but there might be a possibility to tie that within a year of the high school debt being done, or if there's a couple $1 million you throw to knock the high school debt off earlier, that way the net impact of the taxpayers might be significantly less. That's a possibility.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You had something else to add, I think?
Well, an idea, that we build a new building that has everything that we need in it, and we take this building and we keep it as, I don't know,
Mother Moore's house?
yeah,
Somewhere, and,
Yeah.
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, somewhere Tommy Riolo is rolling over in his grave. Those of you who remember Tommy, this is the castle. This is our home.
Well, to Ann's point, you always have that discussion.
museum here.
Right,
You know?
the problem is it would still need a lot of work. I think that's the challenge.
A museum's still gotta meet code as well, and still gonna have people inside it.
Yeah.
But in a
But
new
it wouldn't be
building,
as costly to run and that sort of stuff.
I think you'd probably run into some of the same same problems.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and you know, though, but part of the feasibility study or part of the initial design, they'll cost out, what would I don't know how big this building is, if it's 40,000 square feet, what would a 40,000 square foot standalone building cost? And I think you'll see that, forgetting about property acquisition for a minute, you're probably in the same realm price-wise. So then it becomes, well, why are we renovating this building? Because we want to preserve it, because we like the building, we like the way it looks, and we want to keep it. But that's all part of really digging into the design is, well, what would brand new cost? Well, it will cost you $35 million and go find 5 acres in Norwood somewhere. And then what will we do with this building to make sure it stays and gets preserved? So,
We have
I know
two
there's
little
3 acres.
I
places
know
right
we
outside
have,
that you can put that in. Believe me. You know, how
I
many
know
people do
we
you have?
have
on
a
each?
spot.
40.
Okay.
Yeah, but it becomes, what do you do afterwards with the building?
This building.
Yes.
I told you, make it into a museum. People rent out rooms so that people can come and have parties and stuff like that. Right?
Sure.
No.
I'm just glad I'm on the board with you.
Oh, my God, Tommy Riolo, he loves this building, God.
Just a thought.
Okay. Any other, and if we're,
Oh, sorry.
if,
That's okay.
any other questions about the out-year plan? There's one, it's just a minor thing, and we can talk about it later, but there is a project here to repave the high school tennis courts at some point. And I'm wondering if we have the opportunity to reorient the courts, because they were designed in a way that was facing east-west, which is
Yeah.
great for the players.
Not a good,
We will add that to the project notes as it get, for the out years, and then as it gets closer, I'm sure that can be part of the design and discussion.
and let's put an engineer who actually plays tennis, who actually understands sun rises from the east,
It's gonna cost a lot of
sets
money
in the
for an
west.
engineer who likes tennis. I don't know.
All right. So any other discussion, any other points made about the out-year plan? Michael?
I just wanted to let everybody know, I mentioned to a few of you when you walked in, on the report on page 2 where it has the committee listing, I did notice since the last iteration of this that went out, that there were some changes to the chair and vice chairs, some of the boards, so I'm gonna go through and make those edits. I know a few of you have already weighed in on that. The Finance Commission reorganized, the school committee, I just clarified that Anne Marie's the vice chair and David's the chair, so I'm going to make that change. And then there's 1 or 2 staff changes on the school side too. I'll just double check with Sean on it, but that will be updated, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Oh, and I'll get this added to you as well, Mike. On page 26, there is a stormwater project. It's supposed to be it's Meadowbrook, it's supposed to be for Murphy Field culvert design, but it's really detention basin, so we just have to update the title on that one. I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this item does require a committee vote on the FY26 to FY30 capital improvement plan report. So what is the will of the committee?
to accept the out years.
Kevin, you are putting forward a motion to approve a vote to approve the FY26 to 30 capital improvement plan.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And seconds, so on the motion, vote to approve the FY26 to FY30 capital improvement plan. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none, I'll proceed to a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Kevin.
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Dave Tuttle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And chair votes yes as well. That's 8-0. All right, thank you, committee. All right, next item of discussion is the, thank you for putting this forward. This is the earliest we've gotten the draft presentation for capital improvement plan. Basically, this is just sort of FYI, when we do have the November presentation before town meeting, there is a committee presentation, usually consists of sort of an update to our current year projects, or last year's projects rather, and then a discussion using this bullet, this listed PowerPoint to give people an idea of, give the town meeting members information on the projects. Mike, I have one suggestion, and Tony, one thing we should add to this is just sort of like a little table, financial breakdown for like, are the total, how, you know, what are we paying for general funds, for free cash?
Sure.
How much are we borrowing, and then the same for water and sewer borrowing.
Perfect. I have that already drafted for the yellow sheet. I'll just pull it right into a slide, no
Yeah,
problem.
that will give that will give the town meeting members sort of the overview in terms of what the financial plan is for it. This is really, we don't need to get too detailed. If you guys want to have an opportunity to look at it and make suggestions, that's great, that's fine, because this is not something we're going to be dealing with until the actual meeting in November. So, no vote is necessary in this, but your input is welcomed. You probably want to just, I'll talk to you, Mike, about this. This might be the good format to take the board through next
Yeah, I
week
think so.
at the board meeting, board of selectmen meeting.
Simple and straightforward.
Yeah. All right, we are down to item E, schedule an agenda for future meetings. I don't have any schedule and agenda for future meetings. I think I can only tell you that if there is some feedback as the plan goes through review at different levels of the town structure, I'll get back to you regarding status and whether or not there's a need for us to meet before town meeting. Otherwise, I think my task is just to keep you as committee members updated as to how the plan is proceeding through approvals and recommendation levels through FinCom and through the Selectmen's Board. I guess you guys probably, I don't know if you've taken a formal vote for the school committee, so you're all set.
We were
You're
gonna
all
wait,
set.
but we are all set. I would just say, for future meetings, I know today we had double, just like, because we still have middle school building, so
Yeah.
it's I'm gonna get it wrong, is it October 20th and November 10th are our next two, so if we did need to meet, if we could try to be cognizant, and maybe not schedule on those days?
Yeah. Yeah, we can-
If it could work.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
my selfish opinion.
Yep. We can see what could work. I think the possibilities of us meeting yet are very minimal, but, you know, we'll keep that in mind.
Excellent.
All right. With that, I don't think there's any further business for the committee. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded by Mr. Padzikowski. On the vote for adjournment, Kevin Connolly,
Yes.
Ernie Padzikowski.
Yes.
David Hilt,
Yes.
Ann Haley, Mark Cooley,
Yes.
David Tuttle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Yes.
and chair votes yes, 8-0 for adjournment. Thank you, committee.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Nice.